Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Saturday. I am so excited to find out who the one is.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Carla?
Oh, we have somebody on the screen and their name is the one. I'm so excited to hear who that is. Who is the one?
Now, how did that happen? Wait a minute. What?
Who is this? Share.
Oh God, what is this?
Oh, no. Well, Sophia, I don't think it's you. You're SRE 41.
Yeah.
I don't know who the one is. The one isn't. You gotta unmute and tell us who you are.
Wait, why is that me? Is that me?
Now it's changing.
Connor is the one.
Why is that a thing? Oh, I guess I should change it. I don't understand that.
That was so
Maybe
funny.
maybe I don't. I'm trying to think who used this desktop for Zoom.
Somebody set you up. That's fun.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. Well, happy Saturday morning. Are you guys ready to talk about getting real, living your goals?
Some of it.
I'm pretty excited about today's class. I think it's gonna be really exciting. All right. Well, let's, people are on realtor time, so we got to give them until, 5 after to get in before we get started. So somebody tell me something good. What was your big win this week? What can we celebrate?
I got a accepted offer on an Ojo lead.
Yay! Exciting. All right. Who else? Come on, give me a wins. Everybody has one this week. It doesn't matter how big it is or how small it is. I promise you had a win this week. What is it?
I had a closing yesterday.
A closing. Yay. Awesome. Was that here or in Illinois?
In Illinois.
In Illinois. So you had to go to Illinois?
No, the attorneys, once I do my stuff, the attorneys take over.
Oh, in Illinois, you don't have to be there. Okay. Well, that's even better. No, you don't have to be there. Had a closing and you didn't have to be there.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right.
And I was able to send 400 email to farm in the area that I closed yesterday. And I was able to add those 400 to my database.
Fabulous. Oh, that's exciting. All right. All right. Somebody else, what's your win this week?
I made contact with a Real Geeks lead, and he's in Evansville, but they flip home, so I'm gonna make contact with him again Monday and possibly set an appointment for next week to go down and take a look at the house they're about to sell, and then they're gonna buy another one right after. So
I love it. Are you possibly going to schedule an appointment, or are you just going to be positive and you're going to schedule an appointment?
I'm going to get the appointment scheduled.
Love it. Going to schedule the appointment. All right. Anybody else win? Somebody share a win. This is so much fun. This is the favorite part of my Saturday.
So I had a good one with an inspection response. So we had one of my sellers, they had an inspection done and they came back and said they needed $8,000 worth of plumbing work. And they needed to have a clean out put in, and then they had to have a hydro scrub of the sewer line. So price just sounded really high. And so I kept pushing to get a second opinion. We finally did, and it came out to $355 rather than $8,000. So saved my seller about $7,600.
Wow. That's a spread.
It is.
There's a good lesson in there. Always don't accept everything at face value, right? Always push a little bit. Remember, you're the advocate for your client. That's awesome, Bobby. All right, well, let's jump in. We have a lot to cover today, and if people come late, they're gonna just come late, right? We have to hold them accountable. It's 5 after. I give them that long. All right, so this is actually the last class in the series that we've been doing since January, which was the 36-12-3 lead generation class. Now, if you weren't in with us for those classes, don't worry. Each one kind of stood on their own. And if you find that you want to go back, they're all on the website at mykwpc.com. So you can go back and watch the videos from the prior ones, all about lead generation. All right. So today is living your goals. Are you guys seeing the screen okay? Did the PowerPoint come up?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So today what we're going to talk about is a little bit about your big why. Anybody here have a little bit of hard time articulating or hanging on, finding your big why, getting a hold of it, putting it in front of you and motivating you? Then we're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to talk about actions. We can have goals, that's great, but our actions have to match our goals. So that's what we're going to talk about, measuring your results and then keeping your goals in front of you. We're going to put it all together. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to get real. Don't worry about that. All right. So we always start this series, and I think we'll probably continue to have this exercise because I think it's a really good one. So if you guys all would just grab a piece of paper and put it in front of you, and I want you to write down, what lead generation activities did you do this last week? What were your lead generation activities this last week? So write that down, jot that down really quickly. What all did you do to lead generate this week? Then next to each of the things that you did for lead generation, I want you to write next to it, was it dollar productive? Did it move your business forward? Did you have real estate conversations with that activity? As you're writing that down, if you come up, if you have any ahas, if you have any moments of clarity or something, think about what did you do really well and what do you need to do more of? And what did you do that had no impact on your business that you probably shouldn't continue doing or you should do less of? And then I'd just like a couple people to share. Get some clarity around what we're doing, our actions. Anybody have any thoughts to share?
Yeah, I can share mine.
Please do.
Okay. All right. This week I contacted my old clients, and I was able, it was very, very productive. That's something that I've wanted to do, but I never did it. But thanks to you pushing me to do it, I really love you. I was able to call over 120 clients. I ended up with 8 good leads, good buyers, and I've been able to pre-approve 3 of them, and I'm working on the rest to get their pre-approval so we can go out and look at the listings. So I thought it was very good week for me.
Very, very productive. All right, I love that. All right, anybody else? Anybody else have an aha around something they did that maybe wasn't very productive? That's okay, we all do it.
Well, like Wednesday or so, I knew I have to work. I had Tuesday when I went to the office, and once I'm out there, I just ran around. So I really didn't do much on Tuesday because from the office, I came home, I started cooking, doing things I have no business doing. And so I couldn't do a lot of what I was supposed to do.
So then you made it up later in the week.
Yes, I did. I surely
love
did.
that. I love that. All right. Alexandra, were you going to share?
Yeah, but now I'm gonna be the opposite. But for me, what did not work is using the command messages. I kind of wanted to save time, so I just kind of put a lot of my leads on a smart plan and send messages. And I noticed that people did not respond to those as good as when I send like a direct text message. I got more responses with that. So it will take me more time, but it must be the phone number. They recognize my number when I text directly instead of doing the other way.
So when that happens, what could you change about, what could you edit in your smart plan so that they knew for sure it was you?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, I start, the first thing that it says is like, hi, whoever, and this is Alex, you know.
So how about if you started with a text message that said, hey, this is Alexandra, and I just wanted to let you know I have a second number now. You can use either one, but when you might get text from me from this number as well, so save it in my contact.
That's a great idea. Thank you. Because I was like, this is not working. Nobody respond to those.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's
Awesome.
that's just a good way, right? What would you do if you changed your phone number?
Well, I have to call them directly and tell them this is my new number. Yeah.
You might do that. Then you could also, that's a really good point, Alexandra, when you're making your quarterly calls then to the folks, you could say, hey, I just want to make sure you knew that I have my personal cell and my business cell. You might get texts from my business cell, but you are important to me and you can absolutely always use my personal cell.
Yeah.
How's that going to make people feel when you tell them that?
Well, that they matter, that I care and I want to stay in contact.
They can still use your personal cell, right?
Yeah.
But then they know, right? So they can save it for both.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you for that. I will change it because I thought, well, I'm going to have to do it manually.
Awesome. All right. Any more ahas? Any idea of what you'd like to do differently next week? What do you need to do differently next week? When you look at what you did this week, what do you need to do differently next week? Anybody have a thought on that?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm new here.
Well, welcome. We're happy to have you.
Thank you. I had my license issued yesterday evening.
She's had her license for a day. She gets the Rookie of the Day award, I'm pretty sure.
Yes. And I did make a post about going to this field, and then a lot of people was, congratulating me. And I have a few people that inboxing me, hey, I'm gonna check you out. So now I have my license issued. So I'm like today I'm waking up and getting the week started to know where can I start it and get to these people and new people and how can I put my foot out there. So
awesome. I love it. Hey, let's just take a break real quick. Three of you guys, give her your very best advice on how to start out. Three of you jump in here and give her your very best advice.
Script practice.
Script practice. We have script practice every morning, Monday through Thursday from 8:30 to 9. This will help you get comfortable with the conversations that you need to be having and speaking the language that we speak. It's a foreign language sometimes. All right, two more pieces of advice for her.
I would say consistently telephone prospect or prospect in some way every day.
Make your calls. Jason's saying make your calls every day. So you're going to want to make a list of all the people you know, and you're going to want to call them all and tell them exactly what you put in your Facebook post, that you got your real estate license and you're excited to help them. Do they know anybody who needs help with real estate matters? Would they send them your way? That's the script. That's the abbreviated version of the script, just to be clear. All right, one more piece of advice. Who's got it?
I would say eat the frog, meaning
eat the frog. Tell her what that means.
Meaning do what you don't want to do.
Whatever it is that you don't want to do is probably the thing you need to do the most, right, James?
That's right. And listen to your coach, Carla.
Ah, thank you. I paid him for that. I'm just kidding. All right. Well, here's where we've been. And like I mentioned, these recordings are out there on mykwpc.com. But we started talking about the power of one. The whole point of the 36-12-3 class, it's really a mathematical formula. So tell me what that can anybody tell me what that 36-12-3 stands for?
36 deals, 12 months, 3 3 days, is it 3 days or 3 contacts?
It's 3 hours a day of lead
3 hours.
generation. 3
Right.
hours a day of lead generation for 12 months is going to get you 36 transactions. That's the mathematical formula. And we're going to talk a little bit later on, if 36 transactions isn't your goal, what that looks like for you. But it's a mathematical formula that can move forward with you. So we talked about that. Then we talked about validity and positioning. So like your validity, your positioning in the market, your value proposition. Then we talked about prospecting and marketing. Somebody tell me the difference between prospecting and marketing.
Marketing costs money.
Yes, it does. Marketing usually costs money. What else? What else is the difference between prospecting and marketing?
Prospecting is something you do directly to connect with someone. Marketing is more passive.
To a whole bunch of people, right?
Yeah.
So prospecting is one-on-one. These are our phone calls. Marketing is to the masses, right? Prospecting also can get immediate results. Marketing is going to be a long-term commitment that we're going to do. We want to be prospecting based and marketing enhanced. So we want to spend most of our time in the prospecting world with just a little bit on the marketing side. So we talked about that. We talked about your database. Your database is your single most important business asset. When you retire, this is what you're going to be able to sell, your database. You need to work on your database. Who goes in your database?
You.
Who do you put in your database?
Everyone that you make contact with.
Absolutely. Anyone and everyone that you make contact with. All right. And we're going to put in there their contact information. What kind of information do we want to have about everyone when we put them in to put them in the database? What makes a really good database?
Name, phone number, email, address, date of birth.
So that's really good basic information. Love that. And we also want to maybe put notes in there. Where did we meet this person? Because once we continue to grow a database, we're going to need to remember, how do we know these people? In Command, you also have a really amazing opportunity for tags. And I was at the top 20 mastermind with James this week. James, by the way, was in the top 20 of the Market Center, top 20%. So everybody say, yay, James. That was so exciting. Very exciting. Here's what I learned. This was a big one, a big takeaway for me. When you talk to somebody and you ask them the question, I understand you're not ready to list your home right now, but if I had the right buyer and for the right price, would you be willing to sell? And if they say yes, tag them would sell. Why would you tag them would sell?
Because they're willing to sell for the right price.
They'll sell for the right price. What if you get the buyer that's willing to buy in that neighborhood no matter what? Now you remember, I know I had somebody that would sell. Who is that? I'm going to tag, I'm going to filter out my tags. I'm going to find my would sells, and now I can play matchmaker, right? And maybe I can get an off-market transaction closed. So I love that idea. So think about that. When you talk to people, ask them, you know, I understand you're not interested in selling your home right now, but let me ask you a question. For the right price and in the right circumstance, might you be interested in selling? And if they say yes, then tag them would sell. Anyways, you're going to tag your database so that you can sort them and keep track of your people. Does anybody remember the magic number? How many people in your database will get, how many people do you need in your database that you communicate with on a consistent and regular basis to get one piece of business a year? 12, right? So for every 12 people you have in your database, you can expect one piece of business as long as you communicate with them on a regular and consistent basis. And we talked about the 36 touch, which includes 4 phone calls, quarterly phone calls. We talked about an 8x8. So we covered that in the class as well. So if you want to figure out how much money your database is worth, take the number of people you have in your database, divide it by 12, multiply it by your average commission, and that's the gross commission income. That's what your database would be worth. All right, after we talked about database, then we jumped into working with METs. That's the same, that was just a continuation of the database. That's where we talked about your 36 touch and your 8x8 campaigns and your smart plans. Then we talked about neighborhood farming. We talked about open houses. We talked about for sale by owners expireds, agent referrals. 3 weeks ago when we had our last workshop, we talked about lead conversion because we have to get them converted. What are we looking for when we have a lead? What's the next step?
An appointment?
An appointment, absolutely. We got a lead, then we get an appointment, then we get a contract, then we get money, right? That's the flow. That's the flow we go. All right. And today we're going to talk about living your goals and putting it all together. All right. I have a little survey for you. Let's see if I can figure out how to do this. All right. I'm having a hard time figuring out how to even stop screen sharing right now. Hang on. Where did they go? It's hiding somewhere. There it is. There we go. All right. Let's see. I'm going to put a little poll up here. Oh, first of all, I'm going to put a poll up. There's going to be 2 questions on this poll. One, I'm going to ask, what are your chosen lead generation activities, right? And how many should we have lead generation activities? How many different ways should we be looking for business? Anybody remember?
I think it's 3 to 5,
3.
right?
It's no more than 3, really, right? Because if we go out further than 3, we have there's a law of diminishing return, right? So I want you to pick your 3 ways of lead generation on the first poll question. And then on the second one, we're looking for what gets in your way. What's keeping you from hitting your goals? So let's see. Did the poll come up for you guys?
Yes.
Okay. Take a couple minutes and let's see what this looks like for everyone. This is a new skill for me, so hopefully it's working.
Carla, it was a pleasure meeting you this week, by the way. I don't think I told you that in the office.
You are much taller than you look on Zoom.
I figured I would probably, somebody would say that.
Well, you know,
Pictures-
everybody looks the same height on Zoom.
Yeah, the picture is a little deceiving. I'm a little bigger too than probably what you thought too, but.
No, I was just tall. You're very tall. Jason's tall. So when you meet Jason, you got to look up. All right. I got 10 of you in here waiting for a few more. Oh, 12. We're getting there.
Good morning.
Good morning, Tennille. We're taking a survey. Do you see it up on your screen?
I already took it.
You did. You're ready. All right. I'm waiting on 2 people. I'll give it a couple more minutes or a couple more seconds, probably not minutes. Is anybody having a hard time with it or just thinking it through or don't want to leave anybody out? All right. Oh, there we go. We got everybody in. All right. I'm going to end the poll. I'm going to share the results and we're going to see what this looks like. What are you guys seeing on your end? Do you see data on the first question? Do you see database? 13 out of 17 of you are focusing on your database and sphere. So the 4 people who are not focusing on your database and sphere, who might that be? Nobody wants to claim it. If you're not focusing on your database and sphere, you're missing out on a gold mine. And I just want to be honest with you about that. Because the people that are in your database already know you, like you, and trust you. If you do any of the other lead generation activities, you have to earn that level of engagement, right? You have to get them to know you, like you, and trust you. A lot of times people say they don't want to do their database because everybody lives out of the state, right? Nobody lives in Indianapolis. Well, we have agent to agent referrals, and those would be a really good partnership together. You also don't know who the people you know, who they know, right? Because you might think they don't, that they don't want to buy a house or sell a house, and we shouldn't make that decision for them. And we should also need to always remember they know people we don't know. So if you didn't choose database and sphere calls, I would just love you to reconsider that. And when we coach together, I would love for you to bring that up with me. All right, we've got 8 people farming. We have 10 people doing open houses. We have 2 people calling for sale by owners and expireds. That does not surprise me at all. That has not been something that we've really had a lot of in the last couple of years when most of you got your license. As the market starts to change in the next year or so, that may be something you want to come back and revisit if you're not getting the results that you want from one of your other lead generation activities. Agent to agent referrals. Only 4 of you have a plan in place for referrals. The rest of you, 13 of you, I'd like you to think, would you like to get a check in the mail for 25% of a commission and all you did was make a phone call? And better yet, would you like to receive a phone call from another agent in another state who's sending you business and you have to pay a 25% referral fee to them? So think about that. If that's something that you want to add in, you might go back and revisit the video when we covered agent to agent referrals. Networking, I love it. 9 out of 17. What, Jason?
James, this is James. Referrals are awesome. I got 2 of them and made like almost $4,000 on 2 of them. Just by making a phone call and a couple of emails.
You guys, if anybody struggles getting their phone calls answered, if you prospect to other real estate agents, what do you think the likelihood is that they're going to answer your phone? Do most agents answer their phone?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just about creating relationships. You're creating relationships all over the country with other agents so that when they have people who are moving to the area, they send them your way. That's all that agent to agent referral is. And you go back the other way as well. So it's a great business model if it's something you're interested in doing.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What if the agents are not Keller Williams? So I tried to add a couple of their not Keller Williams agents, and I couldn't. So
what do you mean you couldn't?
I couldn't add them into the database for referrals.
Oh, so not on the referral tab. You're going to have that's not going to work through the referral component of command, but you could still get referrals from them. You're just going to want to make sure you get a really good signed referral agreement.
Okay.
Because there's not that within Keller Williams, we have the Y4C2Ts and we have an unwritten, written, we have a relationship already. If you're working with somebody outside of a Keller Williams office, you can still have that referral relationship. You just want to make sure that you document it because there's not that underlying support system and predetermined agreement between agents. But absolutely, you can have referrals outside of Keller Williams.
Okay.
All right. And then other. So we got 3 people that are doing something other. Tell me what the other is. The 3 people that chose other. What is it? Nobody wants to share?
I chose other. I'm also doing stuff on Google, Facebook, stuff like that. Just trying to work it that way.
Prospecting or marketing?
Mostly marketing.
Marketing. Okay, so some marketing activities. All right. Anyone else that picked other? There's some great ideas out there. Did anybody pick other because they thought social media?
Yes.
All right. Social media is probably your database, right? I would assume. Would you agree with me that most of the people that your friends on Facebook should also be in your database? Your friends.
They should.
So I combine those together, right? A lot of social media is part marketing and part database, I think. But yeah, I thought maybe I almost put social media on there and I didn't. So that's why I wanted to ask that question. All right. The next question is really getting to the heart of what we're talking about today. So what gets in your way? Was there anything that gets in your way that wasn't on the survey list? Did you wish that it said something different?
Mine was time blocking because I always have a problem with time blocking, but I guess that kind of goes with the habits.
Yeah, that it absolutely does. Time blocking is the solution to the problem about habits. That's the relationship between time blocking and your habits. And a lot of people, 10 of the 17 of you, felt that the difficulty establishing habits necessary for success is what would be the biggest thing that would be getting in your way. So we're going to talk about a lot of these things. This was really this was cool. So thank you guys for participating in that. It gives me a couple of things, right? It gives me some things to work with when we're coaching. It also gives me some ideas for future classes. So, all right, what gets in your way? We kind of covered. I'm going to go back to the screen. I got a screen share.
Can I share something? How about fear of rejection?
Fear of rejection. Okay. Well, that is a really good one, James. Does anybody else have that fear of rejection?
Yes.
Anne does. Just James and Anne, the only two?
Yeah, I do too. And I think that's part of why I put lacking confidence.
Lacking confidence. Thank you. That's kind of where that goes. Let me ask you a question though. Let's define rejection. If you went to a car lot today and looked at a car and even test drove it and decided that that really wasn't the right car for you, and you told the agent, you told the salesperson, you know what, I don't think today's the day for me to buy a car. I don't think that's the right car for me. Did you reject that salesperson?
Yes.
You rejected the salesperson, or did you reject the car?
Yeah,
The car. The purchase. Yeah.
You rejected the car. The salesperson, if the salesperson would have had the right car for you in the right circumstance, would you have gone ahead and purchased? Probably.
Probably yes.
Did it have anything to do with the salesperson? Is my question to you.
No.
No. If you walked into a furniture store today and somebody came up to you and said, "Can I help you?" and you said, "No, I'm just looking," did you personally reject the salesperson?
No.
No. You just aren't ready to buy a couch, right?
Right.
And the last thing you want is for them to follow you around all around the store, right? And ask you 4 or 5 more times, right? That's the last thing you want. So we have to make sure we put rejection into its proper category. You know, one thing, if you guys journal or you think on this, you might make a list of what would really be a personal rejection. For me, a personal rejection would be if my children decided they didn't want me in their lives anymore, or if my dad decided he didn't want me to be his daughter anymore, or something like, if my cats decided they didn't want to sit on my lap at night anymore. These would be rejections in my world, right? Not just because I need somebody to buy or sell a house right now and they aren't ready. That is not a personal rejection to me. So just
Carla,
yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, and I'm not at all trying to be negative, but you know, if I'm walking around in that store and then I tell them, you know, I'm just looking or not now, and they continue to come to me, then that would bother me. And so I guess in many ways, when I feel like I continue to reach out to people, that's what that seems like.
Okay, let me ask you the other question. Let's say you told them at the door you were just looking, and then you found the couch that you really want. And on the couch, it says one only, last one. And you can't find a single salesperson now. How are you going to feel then?
Yeah, I'd be upset, disappointed.
Perfect couch for you, right? There's a balance, right? There's a balance. That's why, how many calls do we make to our database a year? 4 quarterly calls. And when we call 4 times, do we ask them, do you want to buy a couch? Or do we ask them, do you want to buy a house? What do we ask?
Carla, can I say something?
How are they doing? Yes, Jason.
Yeah.
So the no, I'm just looking thing is a natural human instinct to say that most of the time. I would say a very high percentage of people don't go into a furniture store and just walk around because they're not there to actually purchase. The salespeople know that, but I think a better way to handle it would be, hey, I just want to let you know I'm available. If you need anything, let me know, rather than creeping up on them. So yeah.
Yeah, you just have to you have to make sure you stay in close proximity, right? So the person that you talk to, you're exactly right, Jason, because there's a good likelihood they want to buy a couch. So sometime at some point, maybe not that day, maybe it's their first day looking at couches, right? And they're not ready to buy right now. Maybe they're waiting on their tax check, whatever. Maybe it's not right now. Ann knows all about this. She's in a furniture store. People come and look, right? They come and look, think about it, think about it, think about it. But you want to be the one that's closest to them when they're ready. So that's what we have to do, is make sure we stay close to them so that when we're ready, we can help them. All right, you guys got the screen back again? You see the slideshow?
Yes.
Yes, awesome. All right, so back to those items, why we might not succeed. Not feeling like we deserve to succeed. I think this is a fundamental root for me, and probably for a lot of people, when I start thinking about what's getting them in my way. And sometimes it's fear of success. You know, sometimes it's, do I deserve to be? Do I deserve to have? So I love this quote in the middle of the screen from Zig Ziglar. If you do not think you deserve success, then you'll keep doing things that keep you from getting success. So if you're not getting to where you need to be, I think you should go back and relook at that, right? If I'm not doing the things that I need to do to be successful, am I the one that's getting in my way? So just ask yourself that question. Lacking confidence in ourselves. What are the kinds of things that we can do to build our confidence?
Continue
Attend
to learn.
trainings.
Trainings. What'd you say, Pam?
Oh, I said learn, continue to learn.
Trainings. Dan, this is your opportunity to throw it in again.
Script practice.
Script practice. Yes. We can script practice. We can practice our trade, right? We can get training and practice. We can also ask for feedback, right? Ask for feedback from people that we remember. There are people in our world that know us, like us, and trust us, and would be thrilled if we asked for their help, right? Get their feedback. And then I don't think very many of you guys chose the not being clear about what we want to achieve, but we have to be very clear about what our goals are and why, so that we can make sure we stay on track. So there's a quote here by Billy Cox I thought was pretty cool. Clarity is power. The more clear you are about what you want, the more likely you are to achieve it. So that would be another question to ask yourself. How clear am I about what I want? You know, if I just say I want to be successful, is that clear? What does that mean? We have to define it. All right, not creating a flexible plan for how we want to achieve the goal or habit. Why do we need to have a flexible plan?
Because life happens.
It does. It absolutely does. We also, are we only working with our own schedules?
No.
Right? We're working with other people's schedules as well. And Amber, we were talking a little bit ago about time blocking, right? This is a really good place to have a time blocking conversation. What's one of the fundamental core principles of time blocking that has to do with flexibility?
You just have to put it on your schedule, right?
You put it on your schedule, then what happens with the flexibility? What happens when you have it on your calendar and something else gets in the way?
Yeah, if you don't do that, then you have to put it somewhere else.
Right. Erase and replace. Erase and replace. We have to remember that. Remember, you decide your future. Your habits decide. Yep. You do not just determine your future. Your habits determine your future. So you have to figure out what habits you need. You have to make sure you've time blocked for them, and you have to make sure that you have some flexibility for that. So that's where we are. All right. Anybody ever give up after that? You know, this got too hard and I'm just going to give up because it's too hard. I think we all have. Yep. I think we all have at some point. I love this. This made me giggle out loud yesterday when I was getting ready for this class. Giving up on a goal because of a setback is like slashing the other 3 tires because you got a flat tire. Bobby, Debbie's not here today, but I'm pretty sure she didn't go out and slash the other 3 tires, or you probably wouldn't have helped her.
You're absolutely right.
Right, but isn't that true? Like, we get a flat tire, do we just like give up? Take the car, throw the car away. The car just has to go to the junkyard, right? We got a flat tire. No. Another quote, another saying that comes into my mind all the time is Linda McKissick, who owns our region, made this comment when they were first moving Keller Williams out of Texas and growing it. She became the head of the Ohio Valley region, and her job was to come up from Texas and get people to join Keller Williams. And there was a lot of resistance because it was new. And she had a call with her coach and said, you know what, I just feel like I'm not the right person for this. I should probably give up. And her coach said to her, how do you know what yard line you're on? Are you ready to quit the game? And you might be on the 2-yard line. You don't know what yard line you were on. And I thought that was just a great thought. I think that all the time when I think, well, okay, maybe I need to change this, or I need to do something different. And this can apply to a lot of different things. A lot of times agents do this. I'm going to farm a neighborhood. I mail out postcards, I make run round of phone calls. That didn't work. I quit and move on to something else, right? Is that what we need to do? Farming requires a long-term commitment. You don't know. You might have sent out postcards and made the phone call, and the very next one might get you a client, right? But you didn't do that very next one. So you have to think that through. All right. We get discouraged if it's taking longer than we thought it would. Who here thinks that this success in real estate takes longer than we thought it would?
With Indiana.
In Indiana. Okay, Grace.
Yeah.
It takes longer than you thought to get a foothold. Anybody ever thought this is taking way too long? I didn't think it was going to be like this, right?
Yeah.
That is a real thing. Remember, slowly then suddenly. And some of you have already started to feel the slowly then suddenly. We have to build our pipeline before it starts feeding us. And then the last one is we get overwhelmed by how much work this all takes. Like, this is a lot more involved than we thought it was. So just think about those things. These are common things that happen to everyone. If they're obstacles and they're getting in the way of us being successful, what do we need to do with the obstacle?
Work around it.
Work around it or jump over it, right? Think of it as a hurdle
Yeah.
and just jump right over it. So we need to be talking about, what do we need to do? If one of these have rung a bell with you guys, when we coach the next time, I want you to say to me, hey, I want to talk about this. Let's talk through this, because this is different for everyone. And I wanted to give you the permission to have obstacles, right? We all have obstacles. So you have permission to have obstacles. You don't have permission to let them get in your way. We have to work through those obstacles. We'll find a way over it, around it, or we'll just annihilate it. One or the other, one of those choices. Let's work together and we'll get that done. All right. Now we're going to talk about your why. Why do you have to have a big why?
You need to have a reason as to why you're doing it.
Sometimes this gets
motivation.
right?
And why you want to stay in it.
And why you want to stay, yeah. So everybody has an idea when they go first, sign up for this class, they're going to take 90 hours out of their world, right? They're going to spend a little bit of money and they're going to take this class. And they have an idea of what that's going to look like, right? Then we have to adjust that idea. We have to be flexible with that idea until we figure out what our business is going to be. So we're going to start with your goal. We talked about the mathematical formula for this class, the 36-12-3. All of you that have had coaching calls, you should have already set your goal for this year. We're setting in the middle of second quarter. But I want you, on your piece of paper that you have in front of you right now, where you were writing your lead gen down earlier, I just want you to, for today, just write down what your number is. Write down what your goal is for this year. What is your income goal? How many transactions do you want to close? Then we're going to start talking about, what does this mean to you? We need to make sure our why is big enough. Why do we need our why to be big enough?
Your why need
To keep motivating you.
To keep motivating. Yeah, if it's a little why, we might hit it. And then what are we going to do? What are you going to say, Jason?
I was going to say that your big why, I think, needs to be big enough to where when things aren't going good, you can look down on that or look at that, the big why, be your driving force.
Absolutely. Grace, can I put you on a spot for a minute?
Sure.
Would you share with everyone what your big why is?
My big why is, for all these years, I went home in December. And when I came,
Tell them where home is.
Ghana, West Africa. I went there and I spent 3 months. And when I came back, that's when I realized the meaning of clarity is power. Because now I wanted to help a church that they are building over there. I wanted to help a school with their needs over there. I want to build a gas station and a resort over there. I have acquired the land to do the gas station and the resort. Now I need to come and get my why to make money to fulfill that big dream. So that's why I'm going crazy doing all these calls and things, because I have to fulfill my big why.
Now, does anybody think that's a pretty big why?
God bless you, and that is super powerful. That is inspirational.
Awesome. Amen.
We're all going to send you all of our best thoughts, because that just is inspiring to me. Now, your why may not be that big, okay? And there's no comparison. Remember, comparison is a thief of joy, and we do not compare one person's goal to ours, right? But we just need to make sure our goal is enough. Clarity is power. That's what Grace said. We need to make sure our goal is big enough to propel us forward and to give us the clarity that we need, right? It says right here, the why needs to be big enough so that it gives you motivation and keeps you hungry for your goal, right? If you're not hungry, you're not going to keep driving forward. You're not going to keep pushing forward. So you need to make sure you have a big enough why. So we're going to have some fun. Does anybody want to play the pretend lottery today? We're going to play the pretend lottery. So first thing we're going to do, you've played the lottery and you have won $200,000 a year for life. I am going to break you guys into breakout rooms. And I want you guys to talk, but not script practice today. We're going to have exercise today. We're going to have fun today. Okay. So when you get to your breakout rooms, what I want you guys to do is start brainstorming about how your life would change if you won the lottery today and you were going to win $200,000 a year for life. What would change about your life? Okay. All right. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13. 18 divided by 3. See, this is so much harder when Keen's not here.
6.
I'm going to go 5. All right. So you're going to have 3 to 4 per room, and it is 9:48. So we're going to do this until 10 after 5. So I want you guys just to really brainstorm about what your life would change if you, actually, we're going to do it till 10, and then we're going to come back and then we'll go back and do one more exercise. So $200,000 a year for life. What would that do in your life? Here we go. All right, did you guys come up with some good things you do at $200,000 a year when you win the lottery? $200,000 a year for life. What'd you come up with?
We talked about a lot of things, including travel, new homes, cars, giving back, charity, both time and money.
I love it. New homes, vacations, travel, charity. What else do you guys come up with? What would you do if you won 200? What would change? What would you do if you had $200,000 a year coming in? You won the lottery coming in every year. What'd you guys come up with?
Quit my day job.
Quit your day job. How many people that are dual career thought I would quit my job? I love it. All right. Was it fun? Is it fun to think about it?
Oh my gosh. I was basing it off 200 million a year.
Oh, okay, I love that. You know,
Wait,
that's
so
Kelly just jumped to the next exercise. That's okay. She's a fast start.
Wait.
Down. It's fun, right? Now, let me ask you a question. Why did I choose $200,000 a year for life?
Because we can actually make that.
Yeah.
36 transactions. Think about it. 36 transactions in our market right now is about $200,000 a year in income. Okay. So that's why I chose that number. Now we're going to go back in the rooms. for
See, that's a big
another-
why in itself. That's a big why.
That's a big why. Okay, that's a big why for you. I love it, Sophia. That helps. 3 hours a day. 3 hours a day, and that 3 hours a day lead generation is the exact same thing as winning a lottery ticket that's $200,000 a year for life. Think about that.
Wow.
Right? It's the exact same thing. All right, now we're gonna go back in the room because now we want to think a little bit bigger. So now when you won the lottery, I'm sorry, we're gonna think bigger for everybody but Kelly, and I'm gonna mess Kelly up here. Because we're gonna go back.
I don't want my group to think I'm crazy because of what I said.
We're gonna go back in the room, and here's what I want. Yeah, I love your thinking big. Do not apologize for thinking big. You know, this is an exercise to stretch your brain.
200 million a year, I wouldn't even begin.
200 million, you're just gonna have to go to a billion. Everybody else, I want you to go back in. What would be different if you won $10 million in a lottery? Okay, so you know what your life would be like if you had $200,000 a year for life. Now I want you to assume that you won $10 million. What changes in your life? Okay, we're gonna do this for another 8 minutes. We're gonna come back at 10 after. So, all right, we're going back in now. So the difference between $200,000 a year and 10 million. All right, everybody's getting sucked back in. All right, what changed? What changed when you got to 10 million?
Not a whole lot. It would just be on a different scale.
A different scale, so you didn't, nothing changed. If you won $10 million, nothing would change.
Well, I mean, my lifestyle would change, yeah, but
Nothing in your goals would change. You wouldn't change the things that you wanted in your life if you had $10 million.
well, see, I don't even know my current why, so to say that it's kind of hard. I don't know.
Okay.
Our
All
group
right.
talked a bit about how you, one of the members was talking about adding rental homes and vacation rental places and expanding their residual income kind of thing.
Oh, I love that. Wealth building.
Mhm.
Love it. All right, so we got some wealth building goals. Anything else? What for everybody changed? You had $200,000 a year. Now all of a sudden you have $10 million. What changes with your goals? What changes with what you do?
Well, my goal was everything he just said, building worth and complete my results, complete it and make it really one of the top ones. Finish my gas station, everything. I might even have a new school for the children instead of going to help them fix the old one.
Okay, a new school. That's exactly what we're talking about. All right, anybody else? Anybody else go big with $10 million?
Well, it's big for me, but being able to provide scholarships for single moms who feel like I can't go back to school, I can't because of money, but they would have the funds to take care of everything they need.
I love that. You give me goosebumps.
The water, that's awesome. That is
Goosebumps. You gave me goosebumps. Anybody else? I
I'm
want you to
sitting here thinking about shelters, but more shelters.
Shelters. Okay.
Yeah, create more shelters.
I love it. So think really big. Here's what I want you to do. I know this was just one moment in time and it's hard to think these things. And Connor, you said you got to figure out what your current why is before you can figure out what your big why is. And I get all of that, but we have to constantly thinking about it. Check out this quote from Bob Proctor. I love this. Set a goal to achieve something that is so big and so exhilarating that it excites you and scares you at the same time. Anybody, does that scare you? Anybody get a little scared thinking about what that would look like, right?
Well, I started talking about
If you
risk.
do not get chills when you set your goal, you're not setting big enough goals. So I want you to go back and think about your why, your big why, and see what would make it big enough that it would be exhilarating and scary, right? Think about that. So we want to think, tie into the goals. Now let's go back to why do we need big goals?
Big goals make you stretch yourself, make you think outside the box.
Stretch yourself.
Motivating you. You always need something. Most people need a goal, and you need checks and measures to make sure you're reaching those goals.
I love it. Yes. Did anybody wake up in the morning and think, I don't want to do this today?
Yeah.
if you wake up in the morning and you think, I don't want to do this today, and then you say, yeah, but I have this big goal and I really want this big goal. Okay, I'm getting up, right? That's what having big goals will do for you. Okay. Also, if you have big goals, Shakina, Sophia, Grace, if you have big goals that are important to you and you share those with people, what are other people going to want to have? What are they going to want?
They might want to engage.
They want to
because-
help you reach your goals because their
Yes.
goals they gave them chills, right?
Yes.
Dan has an awesome, he does Homes for Heroes, and he talks about that with people that he comes in contact with. If they're passionate about what he's passionate about, they want to see him succeed, right? It gives somebody a reason to connect with you. So think about that. What your big why has so many wonderful things that is going to help you. So continue to think on that. And again, if come to coaching, if you're having a hard time identifying your big why, say today, when I say, what do you want to talk about today? Say, today I need to talk about this, right? Let's dig in. Let's dig out what those are. Think about what's important to you, who's important to you, right? Those are 2 questions to ask yourself that's going to help you focus in. What makes you, if you think about, Sophia, you mentioned shelters, think about what breaks your heart every time you hear about it. What breaks your heart? Because if it breaks your heart, it breaks other people's hearts. And what could you do to fix that, right? Just think about that. But dig in and see what that looks like. All right. So after we have goals, we have to have action. Remember, our actions have to match our goals. We have to figure out what our goals are so we can figure out what actions we need to take. So I did a little math for you guys. You guys know I hate math, but I did it for you guys, right? This is basically the economic model all broken down. All right. So we know that 36 transactions is going to get us about $200,000 in annual gross commission income. That's your lottery ticket if you do 3 hours a day. So 36 transactions. That means you need to have 48 agreements signed, 63 appointments. You need to have 3,810 conversations a year. Okay. And that breaks down to 79 a week. That's so, that's, remember I told you it's the lottery ticket. If you want to earn $200,000, that's what you have to do. And I also broke that down if you're because you get to set your goals, right? Some of you are a dual career. Maybe that's not practical for you right now. Maybe that's your long-term goal and it's not practical for you right now. So I broke this down, but we've got to get really real, right? So the other way to look at it is if you're only having 10 conversations a week, how much can you assume that you're not going to be able to earn? 25,000 a year, right? 10 conversations a week is going to get you about $25,000 a year. And you have to decide if you're having 10 conversations a week, is this what I want? Is this going to help me reach my goals? So got to get real around that. All right. Are your actions aligned with your goals? I had you guys write down what your transaction goal was earlier, what your income goal was, and what your transaction goal was. Now we want to look at your actions. Now, who here feels like I don't have enough time? I don't have enough time in my day to lead generate 3 hours a day. Who feels that way? Bobby, I know Bobby does, right? He's
I do.
I do sometimes.
All right.
I do every day.
How many hours does Gary Keller have every day?
24.
Same hours we have.
How about Elon Musk? How many hours does he have every day? He can't even he can buy Twitter, but he can't buy more hours, can he? Right? Everybody gets the same amount of time. It's just about what we do with our time. So we have to be really clear about what it is that we do with our time. So I also did this. I came up with schedule requirements and I used a 48-week year. Okay, so there's 52 weeks in a year, by the way, and I'm not great with math, but I've given you guys a month off. All right, in this calculation, right? So I've given you 4 weeks of vacation in this calculation. In order to make $200,000, you need to dedicate 42 hours a week. What's that sound like to you, 42 hours a week? Does that sound like a full-time job?
No, that's just one work week.
That's just one work week. It's a full-time job, right?
It's a job, typical 40 hours, a little overtime. Yeah.
Just a four-time week. I'm going to email this out to you guys so you guys can come to coaching and tell me all the reasons why this doesn't work.
I need that.
And we're going to coach through it, right? But I'm going to send it to you and you guys can come and tell me all the reasons why this doesn't work. What I've done is I have calculated the number of hours of lead generation you need a week. We know it's 36, 3 hours of lead gen. That's this class. That's what Keller Williams, that's what Gary Keller tells us, right? 3 hours of lead generation a day, 15 a week will get us 36 transactions. We've got some time in here for follow-up. Remember the things that have to be on our calendar, right? The things that we have to do every day to be successful. Our appointments per week, we know how many appointments we have to go on because it's part of the economic model. We know how many we need to go on a week. I've included some business administration time. I have included some time for showing homes. Now, I have included showing homes at 4 per buyer. And I know what you're going to tell me when you come to coaching is I have to show more homes than 4 to my buyers. Okay. We're going to have to work on our buyers. We want our buyers to be buyers, not lookers, right? Do you want lookers or buyers?
Buyers.
Buyers, right? So we have to work on the showing piece. Okay. We're going to work on that. That's a skill, right? We go back to skills. That's a skill. Also, I appreciate the fact that the market's a little tough right now. Maybe you're having to make multiple offers and maybe you're having to show more than 4, right? But on general, you should be 4 homes per buyer, 1 hour showing per each. We have script practice. Remember, we have to have script practice. We have training and education. We have some time for negotiating contracts. We have some time for attending closings. We have time for working in your database, and we have time for swimming in the crazy because you know I love swimming in the crazy, right? All right. So you look at that. You can see on here what that looks like for you. And like I said, I'm going to email this out for you, but I just thought that was really helpful. Now, what if you wanted to make more than $200,000, right? We just did big goals based on $10 million. What is it? What is it that Gary teaches us that will get us to the point where we don't have to work more than 42 hours and we can make more money?
Leverage.
Leverage, right? I threw some leverage in here, right? I pulled a showing assistant out and I pulled an admin out. Those of you that are on a team, you have this, right? You have some leverage already built into your schedule. So you got to make sure you're taking advantage of that. But look, if we take the $200,000 and we pull out a showing assistant, which is the first hire that you have, if you get to $200,000 a year, you're going to be hiring. You're going to start building a team, right? We're going to pull out for a showing assistant, and then we're going to pull out for an administrative assistant. And all of a sudden, now you're working 28 hours a week. If you're working 28 hours a week and you want to make more money, what do?
More Legion.
You add Legion in, right? You add your hours on the top line. That's exactly what you do. Couple of things that are coming for you. This is going to help you on 2 sides of the equation. The leadership is working through an app called Keys Please, and it's just about ready to launch. And it is going to allow you to either volunteer to being a showing assistant, or it's going to allow you to find a showing assistant. And you pay just through the app. It's kind of like, has anybody ever used Rover, like to walk a dog or pet sit, or they have some babysitting apps like this as well? It's similar to that. So the transaction will all be handled through the app. So that's coming really quickly. And all of you that are in the supported model, what do you already have?
Leverage.
You have leverage. You have my leverage solutions. You have concierge service. If you're in the enhanced model, you have access to it. You just get to pay for it instead of having to hire a person. But don't forget your leverage, right? That is the key fundamental piece to making sure that you have time to do the things that you need to do.
Carla, I was just discussing this with my wife and a couple other people, actually, that this is the first time in 8 years I've had a deal that accepted, that I don't have to constantly follow up with everything through the paperwork with the lender, this, that. And it's Jessica's team is taking care of it. And it's actually, I mean, believe it or not, I didn't think it would work, but it works, and it frees me up some time and a lot of stress.
It does. I love that. Thank you. I'll tell Jessica you said so too. That'll make her day. All right. So we have our goals, we have our actions, and then we have to add in some accountability, right? You have to stay accountable, right? You have me as your coach, and you can also find an accountability partner within the group, right? Or a spouse or your children. My very favorite accountability story I have ever heard was I heard an agent say that she did this. She told her kids, Mom has to lead generate 3 hours every day, and I have to get this many conversations in. If I do this, we'll go to Disney. And she put a chart up on the refrigerator. And what do you think her kids asked her every day?
Did you call them?
Mom, did you make your calls? Mom, did
Yes.
you get your conversations in? Mom, go back to work, right? You didn't get this done. We're going to Disney. Go back to work, right? Figure out accountability for you. What does it take in order for you to get those? This goes back to the habits that we talked about in the very beginning, right? The accountability is going to help you with your habits. So you need to get into a regular schedule with your accountability. You guys all have an accountability sheet. And I know the word seems like a bad word and you don't like to do it. Why do we track our numbers?
Accountability.
If we don't track our numbers, what can we not do? Yeah, we can't tell if we're on track, right? If we don't track our numbers, we don't know. If you got in a car and just started driving and didn't check in every once in a while, right, with your app, you might get off the route, right? You might get off the route and not end up where you want to be. So we want to make sure you end up where you want to be. Also, it helps you celebrate when you're winning, right? If you're doing a really good job and you see that on the sheet, you know. We talked about sometimes it's frustrating because this takes a minute, right? It's not like we're going to have an immediate sale. You cannot go out, talk to somebody today and close tomorrow. Well, you maybe can, but not very often, right? Like I hate to say can't, but it's unlikely that that's the way it's going to be. If we keep track of our goals and we know, or our activities, and we know that if we have 15 hours of lead generation and we know we got in 15 hours of lead generation, we should be on track to our goal. It also allows us to see where else do we have an issue. If you're having 60 conversations and you're not consistently getting one good appointment out of those 60, what do we need to work on? What's the best way not to get an appointment?
Don't ask.
Don't ask for it, right? We have to work on our scripts. If you're having 60 conversations and you're not getting appointments, then we're going to know we have to work on our conversations. But if we don't know how many conversations we had, how do we keep track? How are we going to know if we need to work on something, if we need to make an adjustment? So we don't know we need to shift if we haven't kept track of our numbers, right? So we need to do that. All right. And sometimes we have to change our plan, right? Sometimes we have to look at those 3 items of lead generation that we chose. And if we've done that for 6 months and we're consistently having the conversations, putting the time in and not getting the results, then we need to change the plan, right? We just need to adjust and we have to do that. All right, time block. It came up earlier. Somebody jumped the gun on me. I think that was Amber got there earlier. But time block. Remember, what are the 5 things that need to be on your schedule?
Lead gen.
Lead gen.
Lead follow up.
Lead follow up.
Administration time.
Your administrative time, negotiating contracts. Yep. 2 more things.
Your time.
Okay. Still 2 more things. You have to have your personal time on there. Absolutely.
Thinking time.
Thinking time. Okay. You can have thinking time, but the 5 core things that we have to do to be successful as a real estate agent: lead generation, lead follow-up, script practice and role play. What are we doing?
Appointments.
Going on appointments. Okay. And then
negotiate contracts.
And negotiating contracts, right? Those are our 5. All right. Lead generation, lead follow-up, script practice and role play, going on appointments, negotiating contracts, and your business admin time. Okay. Those are the 5 things that absolutely have to be on there. Absolutely. Tennille, schedule your play time, right? Schedule your pay. I love this. Schedule your play time and then schedule your pay time. Your pay time are those 5 things that we just talked about. These are your lead generation, your dollar generation activities, right? Those are the things that make you money. There are other things you have to do in your business that don't make you money, but the money making things have to come first. What happens if we put the things that don't make money for us first?
We don't make money.
We don't make money, we won't be in business very long. Do you guys have a plan B? Do you want to have a plan B? Do you want to need a plan B? I'm assuming it's quiet. That means no.
Nope.
All right. Also schedule your scheduling time. Schedule a time to check in with yourself. Some people like to do it on Sundays, right? Look at your calendar. What's my calendar look like next week? Do I have enough lead generation time on my calendar? Do I have enough lead follow-up time on my calendar? If not, I need to make adjustments, right? Need to figure out what that looks like. And remember, if you have to erase, you must replace. All right. Did I overwhelm anybody today?
No.
No overwhelming. Okay, I love it. Did I give anybody clarity today?
Yes.
Okay, some clarity. What did you get clarity around? Tell me if you could share with the group, because it may help them have clarity as well.
Me, it was making sure that my why is big enough.
I love it. I love it. Your why is big enough. So what are you going to do, Pamela, to make sure your why gets big enough? Do you identify it big enough?
I'm gonna definitely think bigger.
Love it.
So I'll start there.
If $10 million wasn't big enough, I think somebody just won like 400 million in the Powerball. So if 10 million wasn't big enough, go bigger, right?
Yeah.
Go bigger. Go bigger until you get uncomfortable, right? Because remember, it's got to scare you a little, excite you and scare you. All right. Any other clarity?
You gotta do the work.
You got to do the work. Yes, that's the get real part. You got to do the work. What does it take for you to win the $200,000 a year for life lottery?
You gotta play to win.
3 hours lead generation.
3 hours lead generation a day, 15 hours lead generation a week. Same thing, won the lottery. So you guys can go out and tell everybody today that you won the lottery, right? You won the lottery. All right, we already talked about this. Tracking your numbers, right? How many phone calls? That is not, I will tell you, the number of dials is not something that I make you record for accountability, but why would you want to keep track of the number of dials that you make?
You still want to keep how many, it's time. So you definitely want to make sure you're making enough calls. Because sometimes
Absolutely.
to get someone to pick up the phone too.
Yeah, it's good to know your numbers, right? It's good to know. I know that on average, I have to make 8 calls to get 1 answer, or whatever that looks like for you. And there's a reason for that. One is, does anybody get discouraged when they call, nobody answers?
Yeah.
But if you know you only have a few more to go and you know you're going to get somebody to answer because the statistics prove it, right? It's just statistics. It's a law of averages, right? So if you know that, it's going to keep you moving forward. Also, if you get to the end of the day and you were supposed to have 10 conversations and you only had 8, you can tell yourself, well, I need to make 20 more dials or whatever that looks like, right? So then you can keep yourself on track. So it's going to help you keep track. You got to keep track of who you made your phone calls to. You have to have a system, because with your database, you need to make sure you're calling your entire database. You're not just cherry picking. You need to have no call call judgment. Like, don't judge people. Don't prejudge people that you shouldn't call them, right? Everybody deserves to hear from you. So you have to make sure you have a system to keep track. In the 12 weeks to success, we use a DTD2 system, which is you do the database 2, you call 2 letters of the alphabet every week for 13 weeks, and then you restart. So there's also a quarterly call plan, smart plan in Command that you can use, but you need to make sure you keep track of who you're making calls to so that they consistently get their phone calls. Which marketing plans have been applied to which contacts. This will be your smart plans, right? So make sure you have smart plans. How many people in what percentage of your database should be on at least one smart plan? It's a trick.
I feel like all of them should be.
100%. Yes, it was a trick question. I was just making sure you guys are listening. Yes, your entire database. If you have people in your command and they are not on a smart plan, then you might as well delete them because you're not communicating with them. Right? They aren't going to remember. It takes, how many days do they say it takes for somebody to forget you're in real estate? Does anybody remember? 13 days they forget about you, right? They may not forget about you, but they're going to forget what you do for a living. So we want to make sure you have them on smart plans. You have to keep track of how many appointments how many, obviously you got to keep track of your contracts, your deals closed, right? Or you're not going to know where you are. And why would you want to keep track of where your business comes from?
So you can focus on what you get your most business from, so you can make more.
Yeah, what's successful? That's where you want to spend your time. If you spend all of your time doing neighborhood farming and you find that 90% of your business comes from your database, where should you shift your focus, right? That's what you're looking for there. So you have to keep track of that. Track everything, and you got to be consistent. I started off the year, consistent was my word. You have to be consistent with everything. You have to be tracking your expenditures, know how much money you're spending. That way you know what your return on your investment is, and your conversion rates. What the conversion rate that you want to focus on is, after I go on an appointment, how many of those do I get to a contract, either a listing contract or a buyer's agency agreement? That's a conversion rate, right? Appointment to contract. And then how many of those contracts do I get to closing? How many of my listing agreements turn into a closing? How many of my buyer agreements turn into a closing, right? So you need to know your conversion rates. That's the only way you're going to know if you're meeting your goals. And you can see how you're doing against the average, because the economic model, we use conversion rates in the economic model, and those are based on the average agent. Who here is an average agent? Good. Nobody raised their hands. You guys you're above average. You're here on a Saturday morning, right? You're above average. So you should have better than average conversion rates, because you're working on your skills. All right, you have tracking tools, whatever that looks like. You have, if you're coaching, you have an accountability sheet that you fill out every week. But figure out, you're going to have to track your number, your math, your dollars, your finances. You got to track that. Big life-changing moment for me was, I was in a class called Profit Camp, and they suggested that you visit your money every Friday. And that was just a really big deal for me, this concept of visiting your money every Friday, making sure you could see what was coming in, what was going out, and if you were on track for your financial goals. And that was a big moment for me. So that's now on my calendar. Fridays, I check in with my money. Do you have to have this so you can make good business decisions, right? So measuring your results enables you to make evidence-based decisions, not just like, oh, it feels like this, or does anybody want their business to be by accident? So we have to make sure we're keeping track so we know what's working for us. All right, I'm going to finish early. Are you guys happy with me for that? We're going to get done a little early today. But I want you to spend the time thinking about your big why. So I'm going to give you extra time today in your schedule so that you can go out there and really focus on your big why. Think about it over the weekend.
I need 5 minutes of your time, please.
Absolutely. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying, but I want you to focus on that. Okay. Focus on your big why. Make sure you can articulate it to yourself. Then I want you to print it out, whatever that looks like. Dan's already left. Dan is so good. He has got on his backdrop, if you've ever seen Dan in when he's got his camera on, he's got a car. I'm not a car person, but he's got a car and a vacation, and he's got his goals like right there in front of him. Do you have your goals in front of you? Make sure they're in front of you all the time. I love this. You're a Ferrari. Are you ready to go 200 miles an hour? I love 200 miles an hour to get to $200,000 a year. Isn't that great? All right. Any ahas, takeaways, anything you want to share before we wrap up? Was the lottery exercise fun?
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought that was so much fun when I did that before. So glad you guys enjoyed it. All right, well, go take on the world. Have an amazing weekend, and we will be back at it on Monday. I will see you guys for script practice or morning huddle if you're in the 12 Weeks to Success on Monday. And if you need anything this weekend, just text me.
Carla.
Thank you, Carla.
Quick question. Can I ask you quick questions?
Do
you guys have an other line you guys use, or you guys use an app on our phone?
No, go again.
Do you?
All right, so we're gonna talk about how to find Keller Williams listings so you can find an open house. All right, so you're gonna go to search,
Okay.
in the BLC, and you're going to go to residential quick.
Okay.
All right. And you only want active listings. No point in having an open house on a pending or sold unless you have to. All right. And then we're going to go down and we're going to find out how many are Keller Williams office listings. And what we have to do is go down here under where it says additional fields, and we're going to click on add and remove.
Okay.
When we click on add and remove, we're going to go over here. We're going to scroll down here to the L's, and we're going to find the list sell office. And you want list sell office, not list sell agent. So list sell office, and you're going to add it. And then it's going to be over here on your selected fields. All right. After you do that, it's going to show up for you down here. And here is mine, list sell office. So you can see where it is. And what we're going to type in there is KWIN and then shift 8 or the wild card. So that's going to find all listings that's listed by a Keller Williams agent. It could be Keller Williams Indy Metro Northeast, Indy Metro North, Indy Metro West, Indy Metro South, or any of the business offices. So it's going to pull everything in the MLS that's KW. And we can see here that there are 194 active listings right now with Keller Williams. We'll click on our results just like we always would. And then we can sort by price. So if you have a certain price point that you'd like to search by, you can search by price.
Okay.
If there's only certain areas that you'd be interested in holding an open house, you can search by school district and find it. Or if you only wanted to do brand new homes, you could look at just what's more recent on market by sorting by days on market.
Okay.
And then after you do that, you find the listing that you would like. Then you can go down here and there's the contact information of who you want to contact.
Okay.
Along with their phone number.
Okay.
You call them, text them, email them, say, I'd like to hold an open house for you this weekend. And there you go.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, dear.